Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Garfield Waller. Welcome to another episode of Rock the Mic. This evening, I have a very interesting guest as we look up a topic. We talk about a topic which may end up being controversial. It's been in the news lately. My topic is gonna be about the Maroons. The Maroons of Jamaica. Yes, that group in Jamaica. We have many myths about the Maroons, many beliefs. And some may be true, some may be not. But we'll see how it goes out, how this pans out, because Jamaica is split down the middle. Half of Jamaica believes that the Maroons are heroes or were heroes. Another half believes that they were traitors. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? But before we even get to that, I want to introduce you to my guest. My guest is Mr. Kyril Walker, and here he is. Mr. Walker, how are you, sir?
I'm fair to find. I have health but no wealth.
As we all. So, Mr. Walker, could you tell us a little about yourself and why you feel you are qualified to talk about this?
First,
Mr. Walker.
why I feel I'm qualified. I am a Jamaican descendant of the Africans who lives in the African diaspora with my Maroon brothers. And the Maroon issue, it's not a Maroon issue. It is a Jamaica issue. So as a Jamaican who has an interest in history, who has done his fair share of documenting Jamaican history, I think I am invested, just as invested as anybody else in Jamaica, to be able to speak on this matter.
All right. Guys, Mr. Walker is being a bit modest. This man is a big journalist. He's written for The Observer, Loop, everything. So he's been there, done that. But Mr. Walker, this issue about the Maroons would not have come up unless the government had not wanted to go into the Cockpit Country to do mining. How do you view mining of bauxite? What are your views on that?
All right. I would refer you to an article that I wrote over a decade ago.
Yep.
That spoke to bauxite mining and the devastation that it caused in the communities that were plagued, I would say, by the miners and their machines. All right. Now, if Jamaica made 400 million a year, if bauxite out of Jamaica earned $4 billion per year, US, at that time, Jamaica got something like less than 2% of that amount. Jamaica benefited from.
We have been giving it away for years.
We do not benefit economically, environmentally, socially, or otherwise from bauxite, like these members of the aluminum oligarchy. Now, would you believe that at the time Jamaica was the world's 5th largest producer of bauxite? What did they call it? Aluminum ore or so?
Yep.
All right. No, the countries that were ahead of Jamaica included China, Canada, Brazil, Guinea in Africa, and Guyana.
Guyana, right? Yeah.
No. Compare the size of those countries to the size of Jamaica.
Okay.
I point out again that Jamaica is the only country where you can mine that thing all around a house where a man lives. If they say them go and mine and them come there with their machines to do the mining and you live there and you say, well, this little plot of land where me own, I am not selling it, I am living here, and they can mine all around you. and leave you on your plot of land and don't do nothing with it. Don't trouble you. But what you're going to be facing as the landowner, cheaper, just as cheap as you say in Jamaica, just as cheap to sell.
Okay. So
Because they can mine right around somebody's property, right around your house.
oh. So let me ask you, have you ever been to any of these areas where they
Yes,
have
sir. Yes, sir. I have been to
few places?
I have been to South St. Elizabeth where you have that place at Nanny, where the people dust, stench, and claims of impotence. That is the name of that is the headline. Me not get so old yet. That is the name of the headline. Dust, stench, and claims of impotence. If you Google that, up to you'll see where the man them say the way the bauxite dust and the thing will reach them out of the plant. He don't have no use to his wife again.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that. I saw that. But let me ask something again, Kyril. Listen, wasn't there some agreement that when the companies, the bauxite companies are done with the land, it is supposed to be returned to its usual condition? Can they return?
Hello. That is on paper, right? Because what them say, you must give them 2 feet now. Now 2 feet, a topsoil must be put back. Now Jamaica is basically limestone.
Limestone.
The red dirt covers the limestone. Now, if you are going to say you are going to land reclamation, them call it, I think that's a fancy term for it, and you put 2 feet of soil back upon the line because these companies, their mind go right down to the limestone. Right? And then now, if it wasn't for, and this has nothing to do with politics, it's just a history. It was for Michael Manley, who started to hold them to account. Even that 2 feet, they didn't even honor it. They did not even honor it. I've been to places where nothing can grow back there but fever grass.
Right, because 2 feet, there's no way call that.
How tree you go get root to go there, so you can plant a mango tree there. So it is environmentally unstable. Now, in central and southern Jamaica, where most of the mining took place, around in that belt there, that farming breadbasket belt there of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Clarendon to a lesser extent, right? Those places have a lot of sinkholes.
Right.
And a sinkhole is nature's way of providing drainage.
Drainage, right?
Because we notice around of those places, you don't have a lot of rivers in a St. Elizabeth and Manchester like you would have on the northern part of the island, right? So when rain falls, flooding would be a problem. Those sinkholes lead right back to the sea. Some of them lead to rivers, some lead right back to the sea. You have a place in Manchester called Crosskeys.
Yep.
Where what the bauxite companies were doing in that area, right? They were mining, and when them buck up on the sinkhole, them full up the sinkhole or try to full it up with them rocks and all them things that got in them way. Now that have a devastating effect on the people who live in that community when rain fall and the water back up, have nowhere to go through the sinkhole.
The drainage is affected. Yep.
I went there with the Jamaica Cables organization. I saw it with my own eyes. It's not somebody tell me this.
All right.
Yes, I went into St. Anne. You see where Bob Marley come from, the 9 miles, Stepney, going in them part there, whole mining go around there. So that's where this company Noranda what going into the Cockpit Country now. Their base is near there, so their base is St. Anne, they had a discovery base somewhere around there, so them base there. All right. And the people up there have been bawling that they have not reclaimed the land properly. I went into all of them places there. So it's not only say me talk about the Cockpit Country. Nowhere at all. But worse so, the Cockpit Country must be left untouched.
Untouched. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Mr. Kyril Walker, very well-traveled journalist, and we're talking about 2 things here. First, bauxite mining in the cockpit, and then we're going to touch on the Maroons. So you are vehemently against this mining, even though it brings in a lot of foreign exchange, right? you think the damage to the ecology is not worth it. Okay. Now, Mr. Walker, let's address the elephant in the room. Since this topic of mining the cockpit has come up, we have had this thing about the Maroons, because the Maroons in a compound town think that's their area. Many Jamaicans think, hey, leave the guys alone because it's theirs. They got in a treaty. What do you think? Are the Maroons heroes? Were they heroes? Were they traitors? Are they how should I say it? Are they a sovereign nation? Because look, they're one of the most famous enclaves anywhere on earth, with the exception of, say, Lesotho and the Vatican. What do you think?
All right. To answer that question, because that is a multi-pronged question.
Yeah.
So it can't be answered in a one sentence, right?
Yep.
But we have to look at the background and context to this thing, right? No. First of all, not all Maroons are to be blamed.
Okay.
It's not the treaty was signed by Captain Cudjoe. You had Maroons in Portland. You had Maroons in other parts of the island, right? So we're not talking about that, but we have to look at the history and the background and the context that the Spaniards occupied Jamaica. Columbus come and he exterminated, to the best of our knowledge, the Taínos.
Okay.
Now, Africans were brought by the Spanish. Then Penn and Venables, I saw them name, from England, came to invade and take away the land of wood and water from the Spanish. Spanish were defeated, and in their last-ditch attempt to make things bad for the British, they released their slaves. Those are the first set of Maroons. The word maroon comes from the Spanish cimarron, which means wild or untamed. So this is the first set among them now as African. We officially get them freedom from the European slave traders and slave masters and slave owners, right? Their orders to them was harry the British, make life difficult for them. Now the British brought slaves of their own. And some of those slaves ran away from the plantation and joined up with the other man them up there or farmed their own villages. And as African people, you know, say we know bush. White man don't know bush like we. And no way, shape, or farm, don't it?
Right, true.
Right. I write in perfect English to the best that I can. But when I'm talking now, and I'm talking, I talk natural. So I can express myself better. So for all those who are saying, how is he not speaking eloquently the Queen's English? I can do that very well, but it is just not as colorful as the patois, right?
True. I don't think anybody will be offended.
Yeah. So no, these British man them now will join up back with the man them over there, so I run away, right? No, what they did in the initial stages that led up to the treaty is most admirable and must be held up and heralded as greatness for black people, because they started out very great.
They gave the British hell.
Until the British have to yield and wave a white flag. No. Good and great. Good and great. All out there are good and great. And we have no problem with that.
Right.
But now, as the history is written and the popular thing, because there are some other schools of thought where we're going to come to that part, that this treaty has been mongrelized or has been whatever. Right? No. You know, as some black man now, and this is the problem I have now. This is the only problem that I have. I'm saying, my friends, your ancestors signed a treaty that amounts to race treachery. There's no way you can tell me that the horrors of slavery that you escaped from and you fight someone that make them say, all right, boy, you're better than we, and you make them convince you or whatever they did to sign a treaty that says section 9, and these are my words, and you can look it up. Matter of fact, let me just dig it up here and just read it down so nobody don't say it's my words, right?
Section 9 treaty, yep, I'm familiar with it, man.
Maroon Treaty, 1739. All right. Treaty between the British and the Maroons. All right. And it starts out, first that all hostilities shall cease. Thirdly, that they shall enjoy, possess for themselves and posterity forever all the land situated and lying between Trelawny town and the Cockpits to the amount of 1,500 acres, being northwest from the said Trelawny town. All right. Fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninthly is where we have the problem. That if any Negroes shall hereafter run away from their masters or owners and shall fall into Captain Cudjoe's hands, they shall immediately be sent back to the chief magistrate of the next parish where they are taken. And these that bring them are to be satisfied for their trouble as the legislature shall appoint. The legislature, shall appoint. In brackets, the assembly granted a premium of 30 shillings for each fugitive slave returned to his owner by the Maroons, besides expensive. And tenthly, that all Negroes taken since the raising of this party by Captain Cudjoe's people shall immediately be returned.
So 30 shillings. So you're comparing them to Judas, right?
Well, I don't know if the European know what it is to use 30 pieces of metal to get people to sell out them own. I don't know what the significance is of 30, but it's the paper says it's not me, so it's the Bible says it's not me, so.
All right, let me ask something. Do you think the Maroons could have done better? Don't you think they were looking out for themselves? What do you think?
As they are doing today, yes, they are. Yes, that's what they were doing. And that's a human condition. I have no problem with it up to a level. The problem I have with it is that there are times when we have to put ourselves, for the greater advancements of all, we have to put ourselves, our personal self-interest, round this up.
And at that time, they had the advantage because they
had the advantage. And they did not press home the advantage. No, I want to just go a little bit over to neighbors over there, so. You have a man named Toussaint Louverture. You have a man named Dessalines. A man named Christopher. A man named Bookman.
Bookman, yep.
Those men over Haiti, when them beat when Napoleon out of the place and them start turn upon the white people them over there, them never turn back, you know. No. Probably this is the reason why Haiti is in the economic state that is into. That probably this is the reason why, because the white power structure has never forgiven Haiti for that.
And will never let us forget. Wait, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who are listening, for those who will join this broadcast later, please know that the views of the interviewed are his, okay? This is Mr. Walker's opinion. I have been trying to walk a straight line down the middle. I tried getting people from the other side to come on. I have reached out to the Maroons. I've reached out to the Colonel, Chief Richards, and I only got a response yesterday. And let me read it for you. It says, it's from his office. It says, sir, your request is quite untimely at this moment. The chief is currently handling matters of great urgency and will not be available in the short term. In the interim, we will see if there's someone who may be able to accommodate you. Please be understanding. So I've reached out to them, and if anybody from the Maroon community would like to come on and dispute this and maybe have a debate with Mr. Walker, fine, you're welcome to come. Continue, Mr. Walker. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Oh, would you expect? No, that this thing happened, the history come and we say you and we see this now and we were call it say me would have consider myself a descendant of those who never managed to escape the plantation. And me, I study the history and I study the history and I study the history. And buck up on this. It must be troubling. It must be troubling. Must be troubling to those of us who did not manage, whose ancestors did not manage to make that transition that the Maroons made, and then to know that the Maroons signed this treaty, and in the interim, after them sign it now, Morant be a rebellion.
Yep.
The man them capture Paul Bogle.
Wasn't that the last time they assisted the British government? 1865 with Bogle?
Them capture Bogle though. Right. And turn him over to be hanged. Sam Sharp. No, the Sam Sharp rebellion is hailed by noted historians as the catalyst that started the beginning of the end of British slavery. This is how important the work that Sam Sharp did do for black people in the British Commonwealth who were slaves was, And history say the Maroon them capture him and can't go be white man for hang him. And the man say, I would rather die on the hand of gallows than remain as a slave. Three Finger Jack.
Right, Three Finger Jack.
Them say Three Finger Jack, they do out of St. Thomas, a grand spin out of St. Thomas. They say, when you're going to St. Thomas and you pass Bullby and thing, and you go through the little hill there where the radio don't work so good in your car, because the frequency, before you drop out back on white horses, before you go don't have that little spot there. When the white man a pass, Three Finger Jack used to open at the bush and him rob every white man a pass in them carriage and take with them things. See? Reparation of sorts. Maroon them capture him and kill him. Man them kill Taki.
Taki from St. Mary, yep.
Who was also a Maroon. Right? So all these things the history tell us. Now if we say to the Maroons, I want to tell you now what I want to refer you to an article of 2019 written by yours truly, which was a column when I used to write as a opinion pieces for loopjamaica.com called A View from the Outside, that says the Maroons need to issue an apology for those actions. It's very troubling to us. And I am not the first person to say it. And this is not because of no bauxite mining while people talking about this, because the two issues are separate and apart. I started out by saying I do not support mining. I don't think bauxite do more good than evil for Jamaica. I don't agree with it. Leave the people in place up there, make them live up there. Make we have this race argument and this argument on this level. But don't go up there and dig up the people in place, because that is going to destroy the aquifers. Up there, the water supply, the underground water supply, the rivers and everything, how many rivers start up in the Cockpit Country? Where the head of those rivers, the little trickle is up there, it's starting up. Many of them. Right, so we don't have a problem with that, but Mr. Leave the people in one place. But hello, Maroons, hello. No. The issue come up about sovereignty, and me say, look, me support the Prime Minister when him say never. Because I don't know if this is the meaning of the word indigenous change.
Right. Stick up in Milwaukee. Stick up. Why is it? Listen, why is it since 62? Every government has skirted this issue. None of them, no government has decided to take on this thing and settle it once and for all.
You know why? Because in the court of public opinion, the Maroons were heroes. Because the history of the part of the history of them fighting against white man, getting out of slavery, doing all of that, that was what we glamorized. But then now you have some people who read like myself. Because remember, Muta Baruch has been asking them the same question a long time. It's not because of no bauxite mining issue in the Cockpit Country. Why this issue come up? From 2019, I wrote that one. So the Maroons must issue apology. Mamuta Baruka has been asking them this question before Curry became chief. I think somebody else did name Curry was the chief. And the Maroons went on Muta's cutting edge program and up to now, none of them can say. And what I am saying to them now, brethren, it's not who did do it. It's not everything my father do me prouder. But if my father did do something wrong, me must can look upon it and say, John, no, my father did do something wrong, you know. Why is it that the Maroons cannot say to us, as the rest of us who are the descendants of those, right, who did not escape slavery, say, look, our ancestors made a wrong move and they did it wrong, and we would not have done it that way. How much pain them all feel to say so? How much pain them going to feel to say that?
Did you ever get to that point?
I've asked them all the time, and instead of them say that, you have a next man who is a man who claims he's a prominent Maroon who have a social media presence. I don't want to call him name. But his argument is that there was no written treaty signed. It was a blood oath between Cudjoe and the British. So, that now open up a next can of worm, you know. When him go tell me that now, you know. Said that open up a next can of worm because also written say you must get 1,500 acres. So if the part where say section 9 we say you must return slave, I'll put the white man then put in that and respect. So what we must take out of the treaty then? How we are gonna know say you must get if the written treaty is a European fabrication to make them don't look all that bad. That is one of the argument to come out of them, you know. Them just admit say our ancestor them do something wrong, no brother.
Wait, Mr. Walker, are we to believe that there is no copy of that treaty?
That is the argument. Said if there is no copy of there's no original copy of the treaty, right? That is the argument. Now, some people who do research on history may need to go digging it and find out and prove them right or wrong. But let me ask you, and if there is no written copy of the treaty, what do we use now to authenticate all their claims to sovereignty? All their claims to that the prime era in Jamaica? What do you use to authenticate it? How is it going to be verified? How are we going to know? Tell me.
Let me ask something.
Maybe you can tell me. You can tell me.
No, I have no idea. Maybe this is just word of mouth. But let me ask you something. Isn't that the only treaty in history, if there's one, that lays out who the leader is to be and who the successor is to be and who the I've never seen a treaty like that tells you his son is gonna take over. This one is gonna. That seems strange to me.
But it's not hard to fathom. It's not hard to fathom, you know, because remember, the nature of the European is controlling.
Right.
The nature of the European is divide and conquer. So I don't see it far-fetched for them to pen that,
to come up
to conceptualize that. I don't think it's far-fetched.
But let me ask something. For a group of Maroons, was 1,500 acres enough?
Well, probably at the time, you know, you have to look on the historical context. How many of them were there at the time for that land? I mean, probably it was enough at the time. You know, populations explode, populations grow, and things happen over centuries. We're talking about 200.
Right, so over centuries, that 15 acres
might diminish because of the size of the population, all these social issues, social, economic, and political issues. Right.
All right. So do you think the Maroons, they should be a self-governing unit, or should they be under Jamaican control? Do we still have that, or when do you think that disappeared?
It disappeared. There were two cases. And they're all over the internet where the magistrate struck it down. When the Maroons were tried, there was this case. I think it is Roe versus. But there are two cases where that legally was thrown out the window. Not legally, but I don't want to go there, so I want to ask the Maroon them, say now, how is it you're asking for sovereignty, right? Your claim say, I one of them tell me, we who the descendants of the slaves, right? Must get over with slavery trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Them argument that them are putting up. Get over your slavery trauma. We better than Uno. Basically, you were slaves, we were not. You were raped, we were not. You were weak, that's why you stayed in slavery. We were not. But no, how much maroon money? The school them up there, how much right maroon money bill? The school them and the road them up there. And the infrastructure for utilities.
Mm-hmm.
And the hospital them and the health clinic them were my taxes, because man can't tell me nothing. Me I work at Jamaica from me at 17. And me I pay income tax all of them years them. Me I one of the PAYE, pay as you earn people them. So me have a right to talk and me pay taxes over 30 years straight in a Jamaica. My taxes build them road there. My taxes build them, put them running water there. So are you want sovereignty? All right, we're gonna dig up back the road, take back the school. Or you want to live off of my taxes and I tell me, boy, you want sovereignty from me.
And was there a point in 62 after independence where they refused to pay land tax?
Yes, yes, of course. I don't think they still they pay. Do they pay land tax now? Innit? That's something to me.
I've been trying to find that. I've been trying to find it out, but I can't get any information on that. But do you think the Jamaican government should take a hard line on them?
No, I don't think the Jamaican government should take a hard line in terms of starting a war with them and go bulldoze them place and this and that and take back no land. No. The Maroons are valuable to Jamaica, you know.
In what way?
Make no mistake. I mean, their history and what they stood for up to a certain point, they may have done things wrong. But that no mean because a man do something wrong, we're going to hang him from the light post, make the world see him, as Peanut Dread said. We're not going to do that. We just have point out the fact that we thought that was wrong. Now, the sovereignty issue, the government don't have to take a hard line. The government have the ball and them have the blade. The government have the angle and them have the blade. All the government have to tell them no. And if you don't want to go legally, it can take another 100 years. The government has ways not to lock horns with them, so to speak, and still win. So if I were the government, I would have said exactly what the Prime Minister said and done the argument and make them beat up them chest over this and froth at the mouth. Because it's the Jamaican government have the angle and them have the blade.
All right. Let me ask something also. How should I say this now? Oh my gosh. Oh, you made me forget my train of thought here. But with these Maroons, most people would say, hey, the myth is good for Jamaica. But if you were to go to a compound town or more town, how would they be different from another Jamaican village? Is there a difference in the culture or is just
I don't see no difference down there. I've been there. I've been to both of those two places. I don't see everybody are just some Jamaican. You have Rasta man down there. You have church in the same way where people have. A matter of fact, the Maroon, them have their own radio station, you know. That they must have it same way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really hear nothing African. I don't hear nothing African, no African retention thing. It's gospel music. I hear them play on Sunday.
Do you think that the church has done more inroads, more damage to the Maroon culture than the other Jamaicans outside? Because I've heard that.
I don't know if you're going to say this so harsh against the church. Because with me now and church business, that's our next topic completely. We don't really get involved.
Use the word damage. Maybe I should have used the word damage. But do you think that the church has sort of changed the whole Afrocentric culture of the Maroons?
I don't know if it's the church only.
Mm-hmm.
Look. Jamaica in itself has been invaded. All the length and breadth of Jamaica has been invaded by since the advent of cable, the advent of the internet and social media. The world is in your living room. So I wouldn't put that down to the Maroons. Jamaica.
The whole country.
And the church is one variable.
Mm-hmm.
But the outside influences, Jamaica was influence the outside from inside. We influenced the world. Jamaica influenced the world. Now Jamaica is being influenced.
I had the opportunity,
And the Maroons are a part of that.
a part of that. I had the opportunity the other day speaking to a couple of tourists who had visited Jamaica and had gone to one of these maroon villages. I won't say which one. And they were greatly disappointed because they thought they were gonna see a throwback several hundred years. And they said as far as they were concerned, it was more modern than
But isn't that an indictment against the Maroons who have this big culture? Sit down upon this big culture here, right? Sit down upon this big culture here and not making an economic killing of it. What would it take to you got to do when you come to Moortown? You see people dress up like how Cudjoe them they dress back in the day. With a fake mosquito over my shoulder, and so and playing the drum them. It's only when them have the little celebration. Sometimes you go down there, you see nothing like that. Look at me go there. More one time. So nobody may ask that. Isn't that an indictment against the Maroons? Instead of every time somebody jump up and say, if you apologize, a wickedness, do a race traitor, take on them people and get flat at the mouth and panty in a knot and hot under the collar for that when people tell you the truth.
But Mr. Walker, then why is it that the Jamaican government or the leaders have always embraced it? Every couple of years you see a maroon delegation go to the Jamaica House. Why do they keep pandering to them then?
So wait, let me ask you a question now. 1,500 acres of land, we straddle 5 parishes. Maroon now you get enumerated and vote too.
Wait, they vote? That's something I've always wanted to know. Do they vote in our elections?
Maroon vote too. So you ask me about the government and the government and the government. It's what politicians do.
But as
they solicit votes.
But
that's an important voting block.
But as an enclave,
so when the time comes for Mr. Holness say, boy, you are very important to this country and you have what you have done and come with a fancy speech. What you think?
Then hold on. As an enclave, are they allowed to vote?
They are, as far as I know, they are Jamaicans.
Okay, because if you go to a place like Lesotho, I don't know if they vote in the South African elections.
That may be by choice. Oh, Lesotho is, but you see now, look now. Remember, the people them only talk about sovereignty, the people have not get none yet.
They're not yet.
Right? So they are still a part of Jamaica. They are not a state within a state.
Not a state within a state.
And can they afford it? What they're asking for, can they afford it?
Afford it. I doubt that. But let me ask you, the Compound Maroons are after this sovereignty. How do the people in Moortown and up in Portland, St. Thomas, how do they look at it?
Them would have, they would have, I wonder how that's a question for them to answer still. I couldn't stay here so in a my little corner of the earth and answer that. That would be above my pay grade.
You've never dealt with them? You've never?
Well, every time I say the Maroons, it has I have criticized them every time I try, if I say it on social media anywhere, it is always the people from a compound town who have that link to that historical link to Cudjoe, who have always been hot under the collar. I've really heard Moortown people trying to get that way, or the other people in St. Mary are so I can't say I can recall getting any negative feedback or response from those people. So most of the time it has always been people from who are affiliated to up that side.
All right, let me ask you, do you think there's something going on with the leadership up in a compound town? What do you think?
Well,
I don't want to criticize anybody personally.
I'm not criticizing anybody at all. I'm not calling any name. I just think that as leadership is, there will always be somebody who wants the king's throne. There'll always a king sit on the throne, somebody always want to be king. So I don't think it's something that's unique to Maroon Town. There will be people who are for and people who are against. I don't know the intricate workings of them politics up there. I don't know it. I tell you the truth. I don't know. And I don't consider myself a Maroon. Proudly so. But I don't know. But I would imagine that if there is any undercurrent politically, that's a normal thing in the world, don't it?
So, an apology would go a long way.
Well, not even a little hollow apology, But
Right. That's the thing. How you going to know if it's hollow or how you going to know?
With them change the stance. What happened? You see that preening your feathers and that basically we are better than you attitude. Because when a man apologize, by his actions, you will know,
Okay.
The words can be hollow, but how he move afterwards, you will know if him really penitent, And it will go a far way at reconciliation, a far way at just established truth. It would go a far way for a lot of Jamaicans have that problem. Because when I think it's me alone, the amount of support I get from all kind of people who say, from I was a picnic and I read that thing and I hear that thing and I think I have that thing in my head and I don't like them neither feet. Because my great-great-great-grandfather them sell back for go get him foot chop off, for him go get raped and him woman go get raped and them take with the little picnic send go way over Cuba and all these things. Because that's what they did. Instead, untold atrocities happened in slavery. So for you to have escaped it and signed with the man who had enslaved you, that anybody else come out of that thing that you escaped from, you must carry them back for a mere 30 shillings. It's unbecoming. It's treachery.
Wait, weren't a lot of ex-slaves and so moved to Nova Scotia?
Yes, some went to Nova Scotia, some went to Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, right. But you think that apology would go a long way. Why do you think they refuse that apology? What keeps them from doing it?
A shame face, man. Embarrassment for know say that go on and I now go admit it. The shame. That's the only thing we can say. You're too shame. You're too shame and guilt. If you know you live with this thing because the blood of our ancestors are on your shoulders.
Let me be the devil's advocate. They won't apologize because an apology would basically take the spotlight off them forever.
Thank you very much. From the moment them go say that, them value, them dollar does 75 cents does shave off of them dollar.
Yeah. So I really don't think it's shame or guilt. I just think that if you apologize, that's it. The luster, the myth and everything is now gone. And you're just another little village up in the mountains.
But it's just another little village up in the mountain long time because you never use it. Look how much year on the thing down there, and have no real thing to attract white people to come there. Where the Airbnb would have there. To come eat the real maroon cooking. Because them say jerk and them thing there. And I used to eat hog, when used to kill wild, or them say Cudjoe, them used to kill wild hog. Oh, the maroon cooking at the hog, where white man love pork, so. We don't have none of that. But we don't have time I cost little bit me if you point out the truth. We don't make some money off on the culture, brother.
But, Mr. Walker, I am trying my best to get somebody from a compound town, some high-ranking official, just to sit down and talk with me, and maybe sit down and talk with us. Listen, my dream is to have you and a compound town maroon, and we go back and forth and see where we get this. We're not trying to have a winner. We're not trying to have a winner.
We need to have intellectual discourse to establish truth.
Right.
And I am prepared to say, if my stance is wrong, if it is that the way I am looking at things is a skewed view, or I am a student of flawed history, I am willing to be humble and to learn of the wise and perpend. Me no
Yes,
hard
sir.
and fast like, because remember me tell you, me no maroon, so me no hard and fast in my ways. To unlearn and relearn is the way forward.
True,
So
that's
if I
true.
have to unlearn and relearn, I am willing to do that.
I'd love to learn a lot
As
about this.
long as it don't get into the mudslinging
Right? That's
and
what
it,
I'd
and the fractal thing and then something like the tracing, as long as we can trade ideas,
right.
exchange ideas,
Exchange
put
of
with
ideas.
opposing viewpoints, and at the end of the day, every man know him is a big man, and we just go home. We're on different sides of the ideological fence, and that's
Right.
the only different side that we're on. Because in the end, we're all children of the Africans.
All from the African diaspora. Ladies and gentlemen, if any of you out there has contacts with anybody in a compound town, any maroon, if you're watching this, there's my email. Just drop me a line. Hook me up with somebody. Hook me up with the colonel, the chief, whatever. I need to speak to somebody. There's my email, garfieldwaller@gmail.com. I'm on YouTube and Rock the Mic, and I'm on Facebook also. Let's man, we need to get this. We need to have a discourse here about this whole thing, because this is an elephant in the room, and I think we need to clear this. The Maroons could benefit a lot from this. The country could benefit a lot, because right now I think we're just living on this myth of these freedom fighters, and like you said, we're not making use of it. We're not making tangible use of this thing, and this could be a gold mine for us. But I like your ideas about them having Airbnb, having restaurants, whatever, just to attract people, just to attract even the regular Jamaican. Because many of us have never been to a maroon settlement. I would say 90% of Jamaicans have never been to a compound town or Moore town or any of these places. What do you think?
I mean, look, my stance with whatever happened in our history or what happened already. I mean, that's my stance. But for the greater good, because I am not saying that everybody who is a descendant of the Maroon must not live good, must not have a normal life. This is an ideological point. Now, where the human element is involved, a whole lot of people of a Maroon town and all in these places can benefit from that tourism, from that kind of cultural tourism that Jamaica is full of.
Right?
And it's an untapped resource. So maybe now, just maybe, a light bulb may go off in somebody's head up there that with all of this furor that's going on around the Maroon and that maybe they can use it instead of being a stumbling block as a stepping stone to some greater economic independence. Because you know how the Maroon can really have an argument for sovereignty.
Let's hear it.
When you have an economic clout in a country like Jamaica, when you have serious economic clout in a country like Jamaica, that is when you're something that make party.
Money
And
talks.
people listen to you. And the powers that we jump up and listen.
All right, Mr. Walker, before we go, do you believe that they'll end up mining the cockpit?
It's big money business in our brethren.
Yes.
Big money business. I don't think them going to mine like major portions of it, but them going to take them little time and encroach and do all kind of little shenanigans and demarcate the boundary and shave off where them can shave off around less a little bit and see where them can squeeze out until it have to stop. Right? Because this is big money business. And as I say, when you have economic clout in a country like Jamaica, it's amazing the mountains that you can move.
Literally move mountains.
Yes, with your mining machines.
Yeah, because they're going to have to move the mountain. Oh boy. But it's an interesting situation. It's an interesting scenario, and I hope the government learns from what happened down in Yucatan and all the Nairn and all these places that environmentally, I don't think it's.
I've spoken to people who have sold their land to bauxite interests, and I just say Yucatan. That's when you pass And you know where the relocated village is?
No, I don't know.
You know, some in you at Manik, some around there. So yes, do you look at those houses? Those houses are a little bit better.
Mhm.
Them look like a 2-bedroom little square. And you're
Okay.
driving up on the hill and you're looking down into that place there. I have somewhere where them sell yam and
Yeah, I
a
know that.
little food stop somewhere on near on there. So I don't know if what is her name? Melrose Hill?
No, man.
I know Melrose Hill.
Melrose Hill when you go Mandeville.
Faith Spen. Faith Spen.
Right.
Faith Spen. And you pass Faith Spen and you go look down there, so you see some house where the people them relocated. These people sold acres of land for little and nothing.
No, no,
And were told they would be relocated. And now they are ruining and regretting what they did. I have seen places where the man you're supposed to reclaim the land. So when them dig a crater. The land was flat like this.
Yeah.
And when you go there now, you see it's a big crater, almost a mile deep. Half a mile down and it just go right down to the limestone. So all of that was that in that space there
That's one.
was earth. I'm gonna tell you, red dirt fertile, brother. You know what thing growing on red dirt there.
Come on, I know my grandparents came from Old Hampshire, above Bogwater. Yeah, very fertile. Very, very fertile. Stand
And
up
nothing
to
can't plant there anymore. Little pepper, little catch crop, little pepper, little this and little that, little scallion, and little this and that. But nothing substantial can plant there. Right? So I don't support this bauxite thing. Me now side with the maroon them and say no mining must go on up there. Me side with the maroon, all the year me cuss them and say me and no. Yeah. Because I'm a fair man. No, the truth is the truth. He's a fair man. I might have an issue. You will step on my corner, go and ball out. I have to ball out if you step on my corner, but that don't mean I hate you because I ball out.
I wouldn't like to say we're a natural resource, one of the pure areas that we still have in the country. I wouldn't like to see touched. Would not like to see touched. Anyway, Mr. Walker, listen, we're going to talk again, We're going to talk again. I want to thank you for coming on, sir. I want to thank you. I learned a lot from you this evening. We're going to do this again. And I'm hoping that before January or so ends, we get somebody with an opposing view. And we'll see how we can, how far we can go with this, what we can get out of this, what we can gain, what we can learn.
Well,
so, my brother,
thank you for having me with my belligerent self.
You've been quite informative, sir. Quite informative. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching another episode of Rock the Mic with Mr. Kyril Walker. This man is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to history. And there's a lot more historical fact. Not just in Maroons, there's a lot more we're going to get out of him. We're going to talk about every other aspect of history in Jamaica and maybe the Caribbean. So, Mr. Walker, thank you good. Don't log off. I want to talk to you off the air. All right, buddy?
All right. One love.